Hello everyone. Today I just thought I would go back to a previous video where I talked about how you can still get some trees from seed and or cuttings, grow them in quite small pots and still get something satisfactory as a good start to go into a bonsai pot within 3 or 4 years. So this is an Acer. It's a Orange Dream, it's called. I paid £3 for it at my local supermarket. I actually potted it down into this 9cm pot. I have a lot of trees in 9cm pots because I can buy the pots by the 100 quite cheaply, and since I sort of semi-retired from work 4 years ago, I bought 400 and I've used them all. Apart from, I think I've got 2 left. I'm going to have to order another bunch because I've got some trees that are cuttings that are growing away, and I've put some seed back for next year. I've said before, it's a sickness. Anyway, so this tree has been in this 9cm pot for 2 years. Has had a bit of pruning done. Still a little bit two-dimensional in some ways, but I'm thinking I'm going to put this into a pot if I can find a suitable bonsai pot for it. And this will be, maybe a little bit taller, but this will be the rough approximate size. I'll show you my hand to give you a kind of idea. The autumn colour is pretty good. Nice red. Somewhere in this part of the UK you do have some red trees in the landscape, but they're mostly ones that have been planted. Most trees that are native to the UK seem to have yellow autumn foliage, so I don't know why that is. It's just an aside really, but anyway, I think you can see that's, this tree's probably maybe 4 years old, I suppose. I don't know quite how old it was when it was in the supermarket. It wasn't much thicker than maybe this branch, maybe a little bit thicker. But that's one example. This is a root cutting from an elm, which I'm thinking might make a nice cascade at some point. Sorry, let me move the camera down a bit. Yeah, so I'm thinking might make a nice cascade at some point, or semi-cascade maybe. Still needs a little bit of work. I would say maybe I took this cut in 2016, so it's been in this pot for a couple of years, and I've just sort of let it do its thing. The actual root was this part, so this has grown anew, and this has grown anew in the last couple of years, and it's thrown out another shoot from the base there this year as well. So they seem to grow very well in this size. Even oak trees, these oak trees, I mean, this could almost go into a small mame pot, maybe a little bit larger. It's already got a good sized trunk. Regular pruning has meant that it's got a good sized taper. I'm going to have to take off this lower branch, or again it could be that I would keep it to be some kind of semi-cascade. I may have to give that some thought. It's a bit like with the carpentry, when you measure twice and cut once. You sort of stop, wait and think sometimes before you cut, because you sure can't put it back on, and you can never guarantee you'll get another branch to grow where you want it. But I still think that's got some potential, and in 4 years a good sized trunk. There's another one from the same batch of collected acorns. I've allowed this one to grow taller. You can see where I've pruned it back, but that scar will be gone relatively soon, maybe the next couple of years. And we've got good taper. and some movement, so again some potential to develop. Same goes with field maples. I get them sprouting up like weeds all over the place in my garden. So again, a little bit two-dimensional, and one issue I do have is not enough space, so I tend to crowd them together on the bench, so they do all tend, until they get put in bonsai pots and out, they do tend to get squished up a little bit. We have a silver birch, well, it's actually a downy birch. This might make a father and daughter, mother and son style tree if I wire that from the base. Again, you know, at this size it could remain this tall. I've already got a lot of movement in the trunk and taper, and you know, just needs to develop some ramification and choose a style. So don't be fooled into thinking, you know, if you grow from seed it's going to take 20 years. This is an ash. It suffered a little bit over the summer holidays, but it's going to be okay, I believe. Again, it's got movement and taper, two-dimensional, but that can be fixed. I quite like that one. I think I will lose this piece, or it could be wired thusly, which again would give it some nice interesting piece of movement. So yeah, that's the thought. File that thought away for another day. I have some beech, a nice little beech, and another one which I really like the movement on. Got a nice kink coming out of the ground. You can actually see there is already some interesting root base. It may just need improving, and then you've got quite a nice little three-dimensional curve. So again, that could be allowed to potted up into a bigger pot and allowed to grow and be the base of a much larger beech, or could indeed be refined from that to a tree of about this size. Let's see, what else have I got? I just picked a few trees at random that I thought looked interesting. Not necessarily the best of the bunch, but there are some that are slightly better, and there are some that are in a less advanced state. So there's another little ash, and what you find when you grow from seed is this tree, for example, is much more resilient to the hot weather than this one was, and also that its leaves have remained much smaller, much finer, making this a good consideration for bonsai. There are others that have much larger leaves and much more coarse growth. And the last tree I picked to show you is a dawn redwood, and this was seed sown over the winter of 2016 into 2017, so it's, you know, in its second year. I've already pruned it a few times, and we have some taper, and it's grown nice and tall and nice and straight, so I think that might be a candidate for a formal upright at a later date. So anyway, I've banged on about this for 8 or 9 minutes now, so I'll shut up, and thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Hello there again. I guess this is kind of a PS. I realised I didn't show you any conifers or anything other than a short range of deciduous trees. So this is self-seeded. Well, I think it's possibly even Leylandii. I don't know. I'm guessing it came from a neighbour's hedge, which is Leylandii. Fortunately, it's not one that's completely out of control. This self-seeded in my garden. It's got an interesting trunk line. I'm really stumped as to what to do with this. I'm thinking I'm going to put it into a larger pot next year, and see what can be done. It'll be interesting, a bit of fun. It'll never make a fine tree, but I like it. So that's, yeah, again, just grown in a 9cm pot from where it's plucked out of the soil after self-seeding. Not classically wonderful, but interesting. We have Saguaro false cypress. This is cutting from trees that you've seen in other videos if you're a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, maybe you should consider it. I won't say it'll change your life, but yeah, it'll help. Okay, so that's, again, you know, a tiny thing at the moment. I have others double that size, but cautionary note, a lot of the lower branches and leaves will die off if they're too crowded. Don't get enough light, quite sensitive to that. So yeah, that's that one. We have, of course, larch. Right now, some of us of a certain generation will have Monty Python in their heads. It's a very long way away. If you don't get that reference, you're a younger person than I am. I'm thinking maybe this again needs to go up into a larger pot, although we've got some good taper and some movement. Some of these lower branches are fine enough, they could be wired round. I could see that in a smaller pot with a bit more, a couple of years work on the refinement. What else have I got here? I've got Cryptomeria. Again, this is taken from a cutting from a much larger tree. Doing quite well, very slim and slender. Could make a small literati. Could make an informal upright with some wiring. A lot of possibilities with that tree. I've got Japanese black pine, taken from seed. Taken from seed, grown from seed. Now, this tree's got a lot going on, but not a lot of potential as it is. I think I am going to either put this in the ground somewhere, or put it in a much larger pot. Base of the trunk needs to fasten up. It hasn't got a lot of movement. There's no taper. So, you know, it doesn't work with every tree and every species. I may let this grow on, and then at some point lose this entire top portion. Let this, once this has grown up, choosing this to be a new leader, and plant the tree at an angle thusly. Could be interesting. That's for future consideration. And finally, no, not finally. This is a juniperous mint julep. I know exactly where and when I bought this. I bought this in a garden centre in Yeovil, and it was in the reduced section to 50p. I'm a sucker for a bargain. And I've just grown it on. It was, yeah, if you imagine losing all that, that was probably about it when I bought it. So I've pruned it and grown it for a couple of years. I have an interesting trunk line coming up. Probably reduce this height, and yeah, another nice possibility for a tree. And by no means least but last, a little pyracantha cutting from this year. It's grown away quite nicely. Even got 3 little berries. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, you might say. Yeah, got a lot of growing on to do. It's still quite loose in the pot, so it hasn't filled the pot with roots yet, but it's grown quite nicely, and I'm quite pleased with it. So there you are, this is the actual end of the video, and thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves.